Hi guys, so in today's video I wanted to put you guys onto these 7 hermetic principles. If you haven't heard about them, they are pretty much the foundation of our perceivable reality and the universe that we know and love. When I came to learn about them, it really just gave me a heightened perspective as far as like how the universe works, and it offered me a lot of agency in terms of how I navigate life and situations and even relationships. So I wanted to give you guys a brief walkthrough because I think that it'll also offer you perspective. And before I get started, I always like to say this disclaimer because I don't want to mislead you guys with what my fundamental beliefs are. I believe in God, I identify as Christian, and I think that the spiritual hierarchy goes God, Jesus, universe. And I think that within the universe there are tools and modalities that do work if you learn them and apply them, and I think that these principles and laws fall into that category. But I do want to acknowledge that I believe in God as to not mislead you guys, and also I want to remain humble to the creator because I think that at any moment he can like come down and disrupt everything that we think that we know. And I think that that's the key whenever you're learning and studying things. I don't think that the human brain is meant to conceptualize the entire truth. But anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna get into the laws. Oh, and then just a backstory on them. The 7 hermetic principles were taken from a book called the Kybalion, which was published in 1908. And the Kybalion is a distillation of other hermetic texts from way back in the day that were based on the teachings of a mythical figure named Hermes Trismegistus. And other hermetic texts include Corpus Hermetica, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, among others. But then the Kybalion is really what made it mainstream and popularized in 1908. So I'm going to give you guys a brief run through and then some application so you can use these laws in your own life, okay? So number 1 is the law of mentalism, which states the all is a mind, the universe is mental. When the hermetics are referring to the universe is mental, I believe that they're referring to we exist within the consciousness, within the mind of God. So everything in our reality is basically a projection of the mind of the all, and everything in our individual reality or on this material realm, material things like cell phones, tools that we use, like these were once imagined concepts in the mental plane that they materialized. And there's 3 planes of existence. There's a spiritual plane, mental plane, physical plane, and everything first starts in the spiritual and then the mental plane, okay? But mentalism extends beyond the creation of things. There's a saying that says our thoughts create our reality, and it creates our physical reality, but it also creates our emotional reality, our mental reality. Our thoughts shape our perspective, and our perspective shapes how we interact with the world around us, affecting our relationships, our levels of consciousness, our happiness, our sadness, and really just our perception. It all starts within our mind, and your thoughts create your emotions, and your emotions determine your personality, and your personality is your personal reality. So it really just all like starts in the mind, okay? So that's the law of mentalism, and you can use that just knowing that your thoughts have so much power. Also, if you want to sprinkle a little bit of quantum theory in there, they say that every single potential reality exists within the quantum realm, and when you feed it thought transmission, it activates certain potentials in the quantum realm. And if you sustain that connection long enough, eventually these potentialities have no choice but to materialize in the material realm. So let that marinate for a little bit. We're gonna move to law number 2, which is the law of correspondence. The law of correspondence states as above, so below, as within, so without, as in the universe, so in the soul. And I really like this one because I'm not sure if this is in the Kybalion, but I've read that to understand yourself is to understand the universe, because there are patterns that exist in different planes of reality. And you can see these different patterns manifest in different things. For example, in our life, we have seasons of ups and downs, of joy and sadness, of pleasure and pain. And then in nature, there are seasons such as winter, spring, summer, fall. So the law of correspondence basically is the microcosm is the macrocosm, and the macrocosm is the microcosm. And you can really understand the universe at large by what you observe within yourself or even within society. I think that the state of the world is an indication of what's going on individually on a collective level. So an application of the law of correspondence in your personal life would be to just be more cognizant of your thoughts and your emotions and how they affect your outer reality, because these patterns and vibrations will permeate in different planes of existence. So if you feel happy, you'll spread happiness. Okay, so that's the law of correspondence: as above, so below, as within, so without. Okay, the third law is the law of vibration, which states that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Now, if you look at water in its liquid form means that the molecules that make up water, H2O, are vibrating at a very high speed, causing it to be in liquid form, right? If they vibrate at a lower speed, it'll turn it into solid, creating ice. And I think that when water turns into gas, it's vibrating. I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know science. I don't know physics. I don't know if it's the highest vibration or the lowest vibration. I think it's a higher vibration because it condenses, it turns into gas, and I think that gas is like a higher vibration. Anyway, a way to apply this to your life would be knowing that, again, your thoughts, your feelings have certain vibrations. There's literally EEG machines that you can put on your brain, and EEG machines are able to determine whether your brain is in beta, alpha, or gamma state. There's also machines, I'm not sure what they're called, but they monitor your heart's resonance, right? And because everything is energy on a quantum level, and because like energy attracts like energy, the law of vibration is applicable because you can literally sustain the vibration of the state of consciousness that you want to embody. I love using this on myself and with people that I work with, because I ask them, okay, what does the highest version of yourself, what does the version of yourself that you want to be, how do they feel and how do they think? And when you tune your heart to your brain, and that creates heart-brain coherence, the toroidal field that you emit is way more powerful. And emotions, this is going off on a little tangent, but your heart actually has an electromagnetic field that's like, I think it's like 40 times, don't quote me on this, but it's a lot more powerful than your brain's electromagnetic field. And so these vibrations, these frequencies, I think that they go from the physical plane to the 4D, and then they attract similar vibrations. And then that's how you have things like coincidences or synchronicities, because these vibrations find each other in the higher realms and they like come together, and then through synchronicities and coincidences they materialize. And it's because of the vibrations that we emit, the frequencies that we're operating on. And if you want to live in a higher state of consciousness, then you have the free will, you have the capacity to alchemize whatever it is that you're going through, and tap into these higher states of consciousness to live the type of life that you want to live. Okay, so number 4 is the law of polarity, which states that everything is dual, everything has its pair of opposites, all truths are half truths, and opposites are the same thing in differing degree. So think of this as like lightness and dark. Even though we perceive them to be opposites, one is just the absence of the other. And I think that understanding this principle really helps you alchemize your perceived negative experiences, because I like to think of it like this. Whenever I'm going through something, I like to think of myself as like, let's say that I'm like a gray, like a little dark energetic bubble, like a little cloud of smoke, right? And I'm on a timeline, okay? And for the sake of this explanation, let's say the time is linear, even though time is not linear, time is cyclical, just so you know. But let's say the time is linear and I'm on a straight timeline, okay? And I'm a little dark cloud, a gray bubble of negative energy. I like to remind myself that the law of polarity exists, because I know that this dark bubble exists in the positive. It can be like a beautiful yellow bubble, right? Once I pass this point in time, this threshold, and a way that I expedite this process of going from here to here is by elevating my state of consciousness. Being cognizant of that law just helps me kind of surrender or process negative emotions faster. It helps me expedite the process and kind of collapse timelines, because I know that this too shall pass, and that eventually I'm going to be good. But because of the law of rhythm, which is the next law, nothing is ever really good all the time or really bad all the time. And we'll get into the law of rhythm now, but basically it states that everything flows, in and out. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. And like I was saying earlier, there is no staying in one spot, whether it's good or bad, forever, right? Like everything eventually like swings back. And I think that Bob Marley was really onto something in the song "Every Little Thing Is Gonna Be All Right," because he didn't say everything is gonna be a disaster or everything is gonna be amazing all the time. He said all right. And I think that the term all right really signifies and embodies this like sense of neutrality. And I think that that's the key. I think that the key is being aware of the highs and the lows and the peaks and the valleys, and knowing that these cycles are going to happen in life, and they literally happen in every single plane of existence. Again, whether it's in your own life, whether you're experiencing pain or joy or anger or happiness or whatever it is, that's in your emotional body. But then if you look at a heartbeat, it goes like this, and once it flatlines, that means that there's no life. But life is literally composed of diving and rising. Wings go up and down, our lungs expand and contract. Breathing, literally our breath is one of the most sacred acts that we can do, and it encompasses this rhythm, literally contraction, expansion, and that contraction and expansion can be found in different planes of existence. Law of correspondence, right? But yeah, so knowing that life has this rhythm really just helps you surrender into this rhythm of life without so much resistance. And without so much resistance, it's really rooted in our egoic tendency. Okay. Number 6 is the law of cause and effect, which states that every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to the law. Chance is but a name for law unrecognized. I love that. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. So basically, I think that the most potent, the most purest form of causality is intention. And I think that we should be really, really cognizant of the intention with which we speak, or the intention from which we behave, right? Everything in life happens for a reason, and if we don't recognize the reason, it's because we haven't looked deep enough, right? And I'm gonna get a little bit personal with an example of this law. It's not really personal, but I've found myself sometimes observing people's behaviors and their speech, and I'll call them out on something that either wasn't kind or it was just kind of like eh. And I'll recognize that sometimes I can be a little sensitive. In the past, I've projected my tenderness onto things that people say, and it wasn't really meant to be taken harmful. But anyway, but sometimes people do say things and they're not aware of how the things that they say will cause a ripple effect, right? And they'll be like, oh, it's not that deep, right? And okay, just bookmark that. And in my own personal curiosity of studying like metaphysics or spirituality or whatever, I always ask myself, like, what is deeper than deep? Like, what are things that I don't already know, right? And not to sound arrogant, like I'm sure that there's so much that I don't already know, but I think I have a pretty good grasp on like at least the basics of reality, at least the basics of the fabric of our universe. But anyway, so I asked myself, like, what is deeper than deep? Like, what don't I already know? And then I realized that what is deeper than deep is not necessarily depth. It's going outward and realizing that everything is connected, right? And so everything in life, whether it's physical or non-physical, everything in life is connected by this like universal grid, or you can think of it as like a spider web in which everything exists, right? And when we act or when we say things or behave in a way that maybe it's not that deep, but it still affects the rest of the web, it creates a butterfly effect. It creates a ripple effect in the time-space continuum in which we live. And I don't think that people realize the power that they hold. And so while sometimes people don't intend to hurt people's feelings, we don't intend to cause harm or damage, sometimes we do, right? Or if we say things impulsively and we don't pause to be able to respond with love and positive intention, usually because we're still pretty primitive and primal in our nature, these behaviors and actions that we energetically like deposit into this web ultimately manifest. And it's not good. It's not good because we don't realize the root cause, which was either malicious intention or idle intention, or sometimes no intention at all. And I think that I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but sometimes I think that like numbness or lack of awareness of how we're affecting the world around us on an energetic level is really just a disservice to the world at large, because you are so powerful and you can cause so much positive change. And intentions are so powerful, especially when they're aligned with your mind and your heart. And so I just wanted to say that to you guys, because I feel like we really undermine our power. I wanted to encourage you to use your power, but to use it for the greater good. Okay. Anyways, number 7 is the law of gender, and this is one of my favorites because when I learned about this, it really helped me tap into my divine feminine and heal the wounded feminine aspects of myself. Now, the law of gender states that gender is in everything, and everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes, okay? Like I was saying, when I learned about this, it really helped me tap into my divine feminine and heal the wounded feminine aspects. And feminine and masculine energies aren't necessarily tied to biological gender. I have masculine energies within me, and I'm sure if you're a man watching this, you have feminine energies within you. And understanding that everything has a little bit of both really just helps you integrate and harmonize the genders. And I think that especially in society right now, there's this like war of men versus women, and we're really at odds with each other because there's a lot of wounded masculine and wounded feminine, right? But I think that if we learn to appreciate and cherish and respect both of these energies, we can really harmonize the two and respect them. And I think that both energies are equally as beautiful. But just for my girls watching, if you want to live a soft feminine life, then like you really should look into these energetics and healing your feminine or masculine wounding, and knowing about these genders or these energies really helps understand that they're meant to work together in harmony to create reality, because everything needs feminine and masculine energy to reproduce, to create. An application of this that I recently learned about, I thought it was so fascinating, was that thought can be, and I've actually threaded it through different laws in this video, is that thought is considered to be masculine and emotions are considered to be feminine. Again, when you combine masculine thought or brain with feminine emotion or heart, create the heart-brain coherence, that helps you create the reality that you want and live in the state of consciousness that you desire. And I think that that's just so beautiful and so cool. And I think that we're really just meant to support each other, right? I think that the masculine is a container for the feminine, and the feminine is beautiful and nurturing and creative and expressive and emotional, and the masculine is a structured container, very forward-thinking, logical, protective. And I want to encourage you guys to look deeper into this and really honor the energies that are in you and heal them and help others heal as well. But yeah, guys, so I hope you liked my summary of the 7 hermetic principles. If you want to go deeper into it, I suggest getting the book The Kabbalion, or literally just Googling or YouTube universitying Hermeticism. Again, it really helped me have a heightened perspective of like how the world works, and it just helped me be more at peace because I had greater understanding of what was happening around me. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want me to go deeper into any topics. Let me know if you have questions. I love you so much. I hope this helps. And as always, like, share, subscribe. Ew, I don't want to say that at the end of my videos, but I love you. Bye. Mwah.